folks, my name's Chef Jean-Paul Bourgeois, and I'm in the Louisiana Cooking Test Kitchen, your resource for all things great at the Bayou State. Now in this video, I'm gonna show you how to make a classic, super simple, fried shrimp po' boy. Let's get to work. Before we start cooking, let's go over some ingredients here. We have some Cajun seasoning, some hot sauce, a little yellow mustard, mayonnaise, tomato, lettuce, pickle, a little lemon to finish, and of course, shrimp with your fine cornmeal, and also some good crusty po' boy bread. Now, this is a really simple recipe, but the key is in the details for this. So let's pay attention, let's get it right. Let's make sure we're frying that shrimp real nice and good, and you're gonna have a po' boy that's gonna be just as good, if not better, as anything you might find around Louisiana or even in New Orleans. What I like to do first is make sure I get all of my kind of ingredients for my po' boy cut and ready to go, so when that fried shrimp's ready, I can build, eat, and enjoy. What I love to do here with this iceberg lettuce, of course, you can use green leaf, you can use butter, you can use romaine, but iceberg is pretty classic, and a real fun way that I like to kind of relieve some stress is by just using that smash method to core out my iceberg lettuce. You can peel back some of those wilted leaves, grab a sharp knife, maybe cut it in like quarters. Leave one half kind of right there, because we're not going to need all of that. You can do this on a mandolin, or you can do this on a deli slicer if you happen to have that at home, or just with a sharp knife. Just get nice and thin shreds of lettuce here. Our lettuce looks good. You can see how nice and shredded that looks. That's perfect for 2 po' boys, 3 po' boys right there. Now we're going to be making like po' boys at around 10 inches in length. So we're gonna want some ingredients there. Next is tomato. Now what I'm doing is cutting the ingredients for what we would call a dressed po' boy. And dressed means lettuce, tomato, pickle, and mayonnaise. So I already got the pickle sliced, as you see in front of me. I have the mayonnaise in the bowl. So the tomato is my final ingredient to make a fully dressed po' boy. What I like to do, especially in the summer where you're getting these really nice ripe tomatoes, just give them a simple little seasoning with salt and pepper. Now that we have everything kind of vegetable-wise done and accounted for this po' boy, it's time to look at the shrimp. Very simply, this is a real kind of Cajun thing to do. I'm not sure like if places in New Orleans do this. This is how I grew up frying seafood, and it's really like a yellow mustard kind of batter into fine cornmeal. You don't need a lot of yellow mustard, just enough to coat the shrimp, like comme ça, or like this. A little hot sauce, and a little Cajun seasoning to season. You want to go kind of light on the shrimp because I'm going to go pretty heavy here in the corn flour. Same seasoning and the corn flours I have in here, and that looks pretty good. Once your corn flour is seasoned and your shrimp has the yellow mustard, hot sauce, and seasoning in it, you can go ahead and just kind of mix that cornmeal into that seasoning. Make sure it's nice and dispersed throughout. Same with the shrimp. Now really, you only want to do this about 15 minutes in advance to when you fry, because the acidity from the yellow mustard will start cooking the shrimp. So you don't want to leave that in there too long. Now these are probably 26, 30 size shrimp. That means 26 to 30 shrimp per pound. That's about as large as I say you'd want to go for po' boys. You can go smaller, of course, but we're making overstuffed, really luxurious shrimp po' boys here. So these are going to be kind of falling out of that bread, just enough so you can eat shrimp in addition to eating the shrimp like on the bun. And that's really like kind of an old school style of creating these fried shrimp po' boys, making them overstuffed, plentiful, which I believe is kind of like a metaphor for Louisiana's food culture. It's just in abundance and overstuffed and plentiful and vibrant and so on. I just love fried shrimp po' boy. Just one of the comforting, nourishing meals in my life. All right, so we're about 300 degrees. Now I have a thermometer in this grease, but we want to get up to about 400. I'm going to show you what it's going to look like if you don't have a thermometer, which I've fried seafood all my life without a thermometer. And it just takes a little bit of pinch of corn flour into the pot, and see how that's just slowly sizzling? That's not what we want. We want a rapid, vibrant sizzle when I put that corn flour into that grease, because this is a quick flash fry of shrimp. We don't want to overcook them. So we want to make sure that grease is nice and hot before we get cooking. So it looks like our grease is approaching 400 degrees. That's what my thermometer is saying. Let's see what the cornmeal test says. You see how rapid and kind of vibrant that sizzle is when it hits the grease? That's what we're looking for. Anywhere between 400, 415, 420, 425 max. All right, so corn flour is ready. Shrimp is ready. Our next thing is to just get them into this flour. Now you don't want to add that mustard kind of marinade too early, about 15 minutes before you're ready to fry. And then you're gonna use kind of your hands with open fingers like this to just get that shrimp tossed around into that flour. So what I like to do is just kind of get them onto this kind of rack area so I don't put too much flour into my grease. All right, that's all of them. Then you can kind of just shake these off. It just helps separate the shrimp from the actual cornmeal. Again, so you're not putting too much into that hot grease, messing up your grease too fast. All right, here we go. We're at 400 degrees. You can see that vibrant sizzle right there. I'm just gonna go very carefully, kind of spread them out. If you see your grease starting to rise like that, don't overdo it. I'm gonna do 2 different batches. Now what I wanna do here is just let that shrimp kind of set and fry before I start stirring it, because I want that batter to adhere and start getting crispy before I start to stir it around. And once that kind of subdues, I'll take what I call a spider spatula and just give it a gentle little stir. And you can see how golden delicious that shrimp looked like right there. Now these are about 26-30 size shrimp. You wouldn't want to go much bigger than that. We are making overstuffed shrimp po' boys. You can make them a little smaller. Of course, classically, they're typically a little smaller, but I like this size. You get a good bite of shrimp on every bite of that po' boy. Plus, it just feels kind of luxurious to use a slightly larger size shrimp than traditional. I'm golden brown. That's as hot as that's as much as I want to cook them. That's not more than like 2 minutes right there. And then you can just take them out of that hot grease and right onto this kind of tray here. And you could use just paper towel, of course. I'm going to go in with my second batch. Woo! I'm going for it. I'm going for it, Rohan. While these are cooling, I like to just give them a little drizzle of fresh lemon and a little sprinkle of salt. Just move those over to the side. That's for one po' boy. Now remember, these shrimp are sitting in this grease. They're just kind of setting that batter onto the flesh of the shrimp before I stir. They've been about 30, 45 seconds, and then I'm gonna get them a nice, gentle, just little mix around there. All right, while those are frying, I'm gonna take my po' boy bread. I just like to kind of cut off the nubs, if you will, here. And I'm gonna go kind of leave it on a hinge, which means I'm not gonna slice all the way through. Slice to that hinge and kind of use that open. If you want it, if you find it a little bready, if you might not be able to get classical kind of po' boy bread, you can remove some of that inside just to make sure you got enough room for your shrimp. I'm gonna do that here. Just remove a little bit of that inside. Make sure that we really get an overstuffed shrimp po' boy out of this recipe. Those are looking pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and scoop them out and turn off my grease, or turn off my fire on my grease. All right, that's looking pretty good. Now again, these are just coming right out the fryer, so we wanna make sure we give them some salt and a little squeeze of lemon. A little bit of lemon there. A little bit of salt, and then we can go ahead and butter our po' boy bread. I have a little griddle here, kind of ready to go, getting hot. Take a little bit of butter. Just kind of grease that up a little bit. You don't have to toast your po' boy bread, but I always find it just kind of levels up the experience of eating a good shrimp po' boy when that bread is buttered and toasted nicely. Do the same thing that I just did with that bread. Give it a nice hinge, good serrated knife, an old hinge cut, and then dig a little bit out of that center. Yep, not quite toasted right. Let's keep going. It's also going to soften up that bread and make sure that bite, when you get to that final plating and that first bite, that bite's going to be just nice and crusty exterior, toasted interior, soft also, and then that crispy, vibrant shrimp with all those good kind of fresh tomato, lettuce, mayonnaise, and pickles. Okay, it looks like that's looking good for me. I'm going to move this over to the cutting board, add a little bit more butter. I'm going to toast this last piece up. Get that right on. I'm going to start building this po' boy here. So keep in mind, when I say a dressed po' boy, again, mayonnaise, lettuce, tomato, pickle, of course you can use all kind of other ingredients. Dress it however you like. I also like to use crawfish dip, or it's kind of like a Cajun remoulade. We'll show you that in another video. For this video, we're going to dress it classic, but go ahead and just feel free to make it however you like. Go ahead and I just go mayonnaise on both sides. You can set up pickles just down the line. I'm a pickle in every bite kind of po' boy guy, so I'm going to dress mine up with a little bit more pickles than maybe normal. Go ahead and throw on your tomatoes here. Right? This is looking pretty good. Check this guy out. I'll turn him down to low. He's looking pretty good too. And now, when I say overstuffed, I mean when you close that puppy, you need shrimp falling out of it. And that's why we got 2 pounds of shrimp here for these 2 po' boy sandwiches. I'm gonna move this right here. Then really you can just kind of just pile those guys on. Make a pile of them. You know, you're dressing this for friends and family, you're making this for friends and family or guests at the house for a party, tailgate, whatever it is. Show them you love them by adding a little extra shrimp. That's how I like to see it. That's in the old days, boy. Then you just kind of lay that shredded iceberg right on top. You know, and classically what you would do is you would put this in deli paper and roll it up so it really kind of makes this pocket. But for this, we're just going to have to press it in with your knife here. And then like that, you can just cut it right in half. And if you notice, when I pick this up, there's shrimp that fall out of it. And that's what you want. And as you eat it, that shrimp's going to continue to fall. That's an overstuffed shrimp po' boy where I'm from. Got this other one here. Let's go ahead and make this one too. We got a hungry crowd in front of us. If your shrimp po' boys look like that, I'm coming to eat at your restaurant. That's all I'm saying. If like you make them like that, like that's where I'm coming. Once a week at least, I'm coming to your restaurant and eating po' boys. Now you might go out of business from putting so much shrimp on your po' boy, but hey, you're gonna make a lot of people happy in the process. Whew, that is overstuffed right there. But that's what we're looking for, guys. That's what we're looking for. All right, cool. All right, that's what it looks like to order and make an overstuffed shrimp po' boy. Let's take a bite. That's tugging right on my heartstrings right there. I just love shrimp po' boys, especially ones that feel abundant, plentiful, and fresh. My name's Chef Jean-Paul Bourgeois, and I am out.